All right. So this tutorial assumes that you already have Node.js installed, and if you don't have that installed, then install npm, and that's a package manager for JavaScript. Now you can, with npm, you can install npx, and with npx you can go npx create React app, and then we'll just name it automate jig. So it's going to take a little bit to load. While it's loading, we can create this repo in GitHub. And just leave it blank is fine. And we'll copy that link. So React is a JavaScript library. It's not a framework, it's a library of JavaScript. And it can be written either in the browser or like served, or you can write it as, create it as a server in the Node.js environment, or Node.js is not a programming language. Node.js is a runtime environment, and you can run JavaScript in a Node.js on the Node.js V8 engine. So now we're ready. If I go to, if I say CD for change directory, and then I go to automate Jake, there I can see my app. And in order to start this, we'll say npm start, just to show you what that's doing. If we go into package.json, see how it says start right here? So that is what's happening. We'll leave that there for now. I'll change that later. But when you do npm start, it's running that script in the package.json. So I'll say npm start, and then when this, it takes a little while for the development server to start, but then it will load up the React app on localhost 3000. So you can see it's still starting. There it goes. All right, so it's live. Now you can see if I open up this project in Visual Studio Code, and go to source and app.js, then you'll see all the same all the same text as over here. It says edit source app JS and save to reload. It says edit source app JS and save to reload. So if I edit this, then it will have changed right there. It does hot reloading, so it's really easy for testing because it reloads every time you make a change. Now, the next thing you want to do when you create a project is you want to make all your changes, send all your changes to GitHub. So you can keep track of it. You can do private repos or public repos. For this tutorial, we're just going to be doing public repos. A public repo. That's the one I set up in the beginning. In order to add that, we're going to do git remote add origin, and then paste that link. And then so first what we're going to have to do is do git add star. So this is going to add all the files to our local Git repo. Git is different than GitHub. Git is a version control tool. GitHub is a repository online that you can store your changes. So Git is the tool. GitHub is just a place to store your changes. You could create a repo not in GitHub. You could create a Git on a server, and there are different tools to do that. But for this video, we're just doing GitHub. So then we'll do git commit. So now we're going to commit those changes we just added. And we're going to add an M for message. And we're going to say, this is our first commit. Okay, so it's just been created. Now, we're going to do git push origin master. Alright, so now you're going to see when I go right here and I refresh, you're going to see all my code. So there are a couple other things that happened right then that you didn't see. I had to have I had to authenticate some way. So there's an API key that you have to get in order to send changes to GitHub, but that's something you could figure out on your own. You could ask in the chat, or I'll make it in a later video maybe. So that's an app locally. I'm not going to delve into a lot of details about how to edit React and how React works. For now, I'm just going to show the big picture of how what we're learning in school and stuff is actually like how you can use something like React to make a real web app. I'm going to show you the big picture, and then we'll try and break it apart in later videos as little pieces. But for now, it's just going to be big picture. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually connect to a not a virtual machine. I'm going to connect to a server that I have hosted with DigitalOcean. And the host name of it is development on my local server. And So I'm going to change the directory to test projects. And then what I'm going to do is git clone. And then we're going to grab clone, copy. Okay, so I just created Automate Jake. You can see the folder right here. There's the Automate Jake folder. So if I change directory, Automate Jake, and if I were to run npm start, it would be running on port 3000. But I'm not going to do that right now because I actually have something else that's running on port 3000 on this server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into sites available. Now this part of the tutorial, it assumes that you have Apache installed, which is a web server. You can use lots of web servers, but for this I'm using Apache because DigitalOcean comes with has these things called one-click apps where you have a server pre-configured. There's still some work that I had to do, and there was a lot of learning that was involved, but this is the most basic, like, big concept that I can show you right now of how it all fits together. If I do automatejake.conf and then copy this in, you know what? Virtual host 80. We're going to have to do some more stuff here. Server name is, so I already have a domain here pointing to this server, automatejake.com. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a subdomain. So this is like something that's in the beginning of the, so we're just going to name this automatejake.automatejake.com. Just because it's double automate Jake. www.automatejake.automatejake.com. Now I can exit out of this. You see I changed the port to, what this is doing is normal traffic when you Google a URL is coming through port 80. That's HTTP. An HTTP request, it's like a get, goes to, it's called a get request, goes to port 80, and 80 is HTTP, the HTTP protocol. Port HTTP protocol is the default port that it requests is port 80. It could be on other ports, but so what's happening is it's going to port 80. It's saying what is this? It's asking what the server name is, and it's saying, oh, it's automatejake.com or www.automatejake.automatejake.com. And what it's going to do is pass that request to localhost 999. So it's actually going to show that that server to the World Wide Web. It's going to show, it's a proxy host. That's what it's doing. It's taking traffic from port 80 and then displaying traffic from port 80 to this port. Yes. then in order to make that live, I say a2n site automatejake.conf. And in order to make those changes live, I've got to reload Apache. So I do service Apache to restart. I'm actually in a root user. You're not supposed to use a root user normally. It's just easier for this tutorial. So then what am I going to do? Now I'm going to go back to Automate Jake, say npm start. Oh, actually, wait a second. There's one more thing I need to do. So I just changed the port that is initially running on to 999 because that's the same port that the virtual host file is listening on. And then I can do npm start. Oh, you know what? So because I installed this from GitHub, GitHub doesn't like that there's a bunch of node modules. Node modules are a bunch of like libraries, just like in Java, there are a bunch of libraries. Well, all these, there's React, React DOM, React scripts, these are all dependencies. So those are all libraries that need to be installed. So I can actually install all those things in package.json will be installed when I type npm install. So now when after I do npm install and do npm start again, then this will work. It's just that the node modules take up a lot of space, and you don't want those in GitHub. GitHub doesn't want you putting a lot of stuff in. You can put them in GitHub, but they usually don't include them. Well, not GitHub, it's Git that does it, but. All right. Now, let's do npm start. You can see it's starting on port 99. Starting development server. Now let's go to automatejake.automatejake.com. You can see it's loading. And here we go. There's a React app. Automatejake.automatejake.com on a live server. And so now I'm going to conclude this video because we're at 20 minutes. And we'll do something else next time.